thank you everybody for joining today. This is the Atlassian Team 23 Recap webinar brought to you by the teams at Isos Technology and Hypervelocity. We're excited to have you here this morning. If we saw you at Team, great to see you again. If you weren't able to make it, hopefully we can kind of recap the best of what Team had to offer and share some of our insights with you. So a little bit about this webinar. Yes, we are recording. So we will be sharing the live recording with everybody that signed up. Our goal is to, and the team always gets mad when I say this, but like our goal would be to get this out and turn it around to the team today. We'll have it hopefully by tomorrow at the latest, but putting the pressure out there so that we can share it with everybody. We welcome questions. This will be pretty dry without your questions. So please use the Q&A button at the bottom, ask questions. We will definitely make time for questions, and we'll look forward to getting to all those. So we'll probably even answer them along the way. So don't feel like we're going to wait till the end to do all the questions. So we want it to be interactive, and we want it to be a good experience for everybody. So please get those questions in here. So just a little bit, if you're not familiar who Isos Technology is, we are an Atlassian Platinum Partner Solution Partner. We started in 2005, and we are solely focused in the Atlassian universe. So, you know, we believe that the Atlassian tools are really foundational to having excellence within your organizations. And yes, we understand the tools really well, but we think that's kind of the table stakes, and we really love to focus on processes and people and outcomes and how you can be much better as an organization using the tools, not just how to use the tools better. That's a little bit about who we are. And then, you know, you might be asking, well, what about Hypervelocity? Hypervelocity, Platinum Solution Partner, doing a lot of great work. And in January, we came together. So we're really excited to welcome the Hypervelocity team into Isos, and they bring a lot of great experience across different industries, across different disciplines, and I think it just makes us all stronger and better as an organization. So we're excited to have the Hypervelocity team join us on this webinar as well. We attended Team together, and it was very exciting for all of us. So a little bit about our panelists today. I'm Thad West, CEO at Isos Technology. Really excited to be here. I spent a little bit of my career doing software development. So I've been using the Atlassian tools for a really long time. Very passionate about it and excited about it. But I'd like to introduce the panelists who are the big brains on the products today. Tracy Walton, our Director of Agile Services.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Welcome. Ian Cooperman, Strategic Account Manager, soon to be Strategic Practice Owner for our ITSM solutions. So Ian, say hi to the crew.
Hello, everybody. Excited to be here.
Great. And then Megan Hawley, President of Hypervelocity. Megan, say hi to the team.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get going. So I just kind of want to talk through the themes a little bit. And so before I do that, I'd like to get a poll kicked off. So if we could kick off that poll on what you thought were some of the important themes. And again, read through this. I'll try to shut up so that you don't have to listen to me talk. But, you know, what was the most important takeaway that you either have heard about from Team 23 or anything like that? So give you another 10 or 15 seconds. And if all of this is news to you, you will be hearing about all this stuff on this webinar. So cool. And I know we're running that poll in the background. If we feel like we're in a good spot, we can share in that. But like AI was really cool. Migrate to cloud. I think if you're not, you've probably been hearing that message for a long time. Atlassian embracing AI for the win. That was pretty exciting. So if you didn't see that, but you will definitely hear that from the team here, and we can jump in on that as we go. You know, the other thing I'd call out from a theme perspective is one of the things is we were talking about a group, and you know, I'd love to hear the opinions of the team here. Is one of the themes is there weren't new product announcements, there was more features and enhancements, and from my perspective, I thought that was good because they've got so many products out there that people don't even know about. I don't know. From the team here, did you guys pick up a theme that was kind of resonated with you across teams?
I mean, I personally picked up on that one, Thad, is like even during the conversations throughout, when we were talking to people throughout Expo, it was like, I didn't realize Jira product discovery was a thing or Atlas was a thing. And these are things that have been rolled out, last year. So it was interesting to see how they really focused on the features more than actually rolling out new products. So I appreciated that.
Give us a breath to like catch up.
Yeah, for real.
Keep up with them. Yeah, no, that was definitely a common theme.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. And then like the top poll response was Atlassian embracing AI. I don't want to steal any of your thunder, Ian. We will definitely be diving into that as well. And again, if you're not new to the Atlassian ecosystem, moving to cloud has been a theme for like 4 years. So, they continue to reinforce that theme with new capabilities, features that really make it approachable for a lot more organizations. And that was pretty exciting to see as well. Okay, let's cut into it. And Ian, I want to talk to you a little bit about ITSM and kind of what you saw on that whole track. As if we can just humble brag for a minute, we're the current ITSM, we're the 3-time ITSM Partner of the Year and the current ITSM Partner of the Year. So we definitely have a perspective on this. And Ian, what were you seeing out there?
Yeah, we do. Thank you, Thad. In the recap that we did last year for Team 22, we talked a lot about how we're seeing the shift of Atlassian towards focusing their product building power on IT service management. And I feel like we really saw that come to fruition at Team 23. We talked about, they're not really building new products. They're really just developing the features that they've already put out there. And if you're in an ITSM organization, this year's team really didn't disappoint. It hit on and emphasized like all of the things that we're hearing, from our clients for sure, but what we heard from people around team. There's questions out there, especially right now with, economy and inflation and recession, all the buzzwords. How do we scale? How do we automate? How to drive down costs? How do we meaningfully report on our operations and use metrics to improve how we work? And the theme this year at Team, one of the themes was to put an end to bad service management. I think, most, if not all the sessions that I saw regarding service management really exemplified this. And the trends I saw across the keynote and into the sessions are really focused around automation and AI. AI, to the point of the audience here, really something people are focusing in on, hot topic right now in business, but also for consumers as well with like ChatGPT and other players in the market. And so Atlassian isn't shying away from that. They have some awesome features that I think our audience here should really consider and learn more about to help automate and scale their ITSM or even enterprise service management practices, like Atlassian Assist, the virtual agent. You want to find ways to cut costs and shift left with your help desk and ITSM teams. This is it, man. This is virtual agent technology, which is being fully integrated into the Slack team native solution that currently exists with Jira Service Management. The UI is easy to use. It's easy on the eyes. The setup is extremely simple. I really like the model that they're starting with data collection, building out intent or something that represents a question or an issue, plugging that into the integration and then tweaking it from there. And we heard in one of the sessions that Atlassian did, they've been using this internally for a couple months, and they've already seen over 2,000 hours saved. So, that's amazing, guys. It eliminates context switching for your ITSM people, minimizes agent time wasted, and also provides high resolution time. So I'm really excited about that.
Hey, Ian, can I ask you about that? Because I get confused. I think one of the things I struggle with is product naming from Atlassian. So yeah. Is this help rebranded? Does help go away? Like, what is this thing that they're calling assist? Because it sounds a lot like help. Is that?
It is like help on steroids, and I agree with you on the naming. Like we have Atlassian Assist, Atlassian Analytics. It's a lot of A's in there, but help is essentially being rebranded into this Atlassian Assist, and they're really calling it their virtual agent. So it's essentially replacing or building on top of the features and functionality that are already there with help. So help, obviously, a really awesome tool to use. As kind of a simplified chatbot, or at least engaging back and forth between, Slack and team and Jira Service Management. Now we're going to have, this kind of virtual agent kind of tied to it, being able to pull in, documents from Confluence, like knowledge-based articles, that sort of thing, be able to answer questions on the fly without having, allowing more self-service kind of assistance versus having people having to manually go in and answer those questions. So basically it's just building on top of that for sure.
Got it.
And another part of that is Atlassian Intelligence. So again, AI coining, they're coining it your new virtual teammate. A little cheesy, right? But it's essentially, I like to look at it as like it's going to help people use Jira better. I think that should be their slogan for Atlassian Intelligence. It's baked into the existing tool. There's no leaving the screen you're on or having to go somewhere else to interact with it. And this thing is powerful. I mean, team, think about this. There's going to be a point very near future where we're not going to need to know Jira query language anymore. I mean, think about that. How much time is being spent today figuring out how to write your, the exact query you're wanting to write? Not anymore. I mean, I still get on calls with my clients and I'm like, they're asking me questions on how to write some Jira query language, and I'm over there on Google, like, oh, yeah, I got you, 1 second. And I'm over there trying to Google it. I don't have to do that anymore. I can just speak it into existence. So it's mind-blowing stuff. The future's here. Obviously, this is going to be a time save for Jira admins, but also an overall time save for users that are building out their queries. And on the Atlassian Intelligence note, Megan, you were just telling us before the webinar of what you saw in your sessions on this. And so Megan, I know putting you on the spot, but definitely think it's worth sharing what you shared with us earlier regarding Confluence and intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. They are adding a feature around automation for Confluence, where you'll be able to automate things like archiving outdated pages, sending task reminders, standardizing spaces by publishing the same set of pages for every new space created. And it actually is going to come with a library of pre-built rule templates for common actions. I think this is going to be a major efficiency driver.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, there's great things that are happening on the Jira side with intelligence, mixed with Slack and Team, but also with Confluence. I think the last point I wanted to say on intelligence that I noticed is I really think it's going to make other parts of the Atlassian products and features like easy to use or easier to use. So take like Atlassian Analytics, for example. It's not the easiest Atlassian product to customize, but with Atlassian Intelligence, you're really going to be able to eventually tell it what data you're wanting, and it'll just spit out the reports and dashboards for you to start using. So, really excited about the direction that Atlassian is going in with intelligence. I haven't had a chance to use it. This is obviously new, so I'm really excited to get my hands on it. But speaking of Atlassian Analytics, this is now officially general audience. This is ready for anyone to use. Unfortunately, it is on cloud for those data center folks, but this thing is a game changer. I've spoke many times in the past on how I feel about Atlassian's reporting capabilities. It's a bit lackluster, but I think now with analytics, it is going to kind of revolutionize how you report out of Jira and Confluence and really all the other Atlassian tools. Analytics was announced at Team last year. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was kind of a big deal. And we actually started to roll this out to some of our clients, and we realized it felt kind of clunky and wasn't really ready for primetime usage. But in looking at some of the updates they've made and looking at kind of the UI and some of the enhancements, I really feel like this is ready. And I think, for those of you that don't know what analytics is, Atlassian Analytics is like a flexible hub that connects to the Atlassian data lake and allows users to access and visualize data across their tools. It offers a no-code interface and helps, and also there's the ability to query the data lake using standard SQL queries. And I really do think, guys, that this is ready to replace your Jira dashboards. So Jira dashboards
When they
Yeah.
announced it before, it was like a sigh of relief. I don't think there were more complaints about the lack of reporting inside of the tool than, like, that was just the top of the list. And so
Mhm.
it's great to see that they're evolving it and people can start to use this information to challenge what they know or what they think they know or make different decisions about how they're working. So I just had to throw that in there because everybody like had this whole sigh of relief, and it's just great that they're continuing to focus on that and give us what we
Yeah.
need for the
Yeah,
future.
and
Absolutely.
Tracy, like, and Ian, you just said it, there's data lake and there's analytics. And so like, when you think about it, data lake is the repository of where it is a data lake, right? It is where they're pulling all the data into, and then they have the analytics view where, Ian, the things you're talking about, like how you can easily build charts and graphs. But the thing I really love is they've taken that and said, okay, that's great for a segment of our audience, but our sub-segments of our audience have Tableau. They have other ways of thinking about data and visualizing data. And that's what they're enabling as well, is like, look, you don't have to use our visualization layer on top if you don't want to, but we will provide you access to the data lake so that you can create your own cross-organizational queries and really bring your Jira data to life with other systems that you might be running as an organization, which I think is super powerful.
Yeah, yeah. They're trying to make this kind of like your one-stop shop for all of your reporting and analytics and metrics. To Tracy's point, like I think that's the direction that it's going into. And I really do believe that, again, I do think it will replace Jira dashboards for a lot of folks. It hasn't been, updated in a while. Jira dashboards, it hasn't had a facelift in a while. So, but I think also you look at some of the other reporting apps and on the marketplace that people are using. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to them in terms of, what direction they move into to kind of make them a little bit more distinct and different from what analytics is going to offer. Because there's a possibility analytics might come in and take some of that market share from those. So
that's what I thought about that too. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when they announced that, I was like, oof, if I'm, Easy BI right now, I'm thinking about how I'm pivoting, right, to deal with
yes.
this.
Yeah.
Because they'll catch up. Even though everybody else kind of has a jump on them, they'll catch up. Atlassian will catch up.
And one of the things I really love is they're, they have been very aware of what their marketplace partners provide, but they're also listening to the market saying like, hey, we need this in the tool. Like, this is just, if you want to have an enterprise solution, if you want to have a tool that's complete, it's great that we can kind of self-assemble with all these widgets, but we need something that's really built into the tool. And I think you're seeing that with this, you're seeing it with other things that they're doing, which is like, hey, we're trying to make a complete platform and a complete tool that is provided by Atlassian. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And, more specifically for ITSM, one of the things that they mentioned, which I really appreciate, being kind of in the ITSM, ESM space, we now have out-of-the-box templates for request, incident, change management. That's awesome. Now we have places inside of analytics where we can push a button and boom, we have a template that's extracting all of the data out of our instance and putting it into a place where we can understand it when it comes to request management or incident management, et cetera. So I really appreciated that. It helps to kick off your analytics experience. It also connects to your dev and ops data across the Atlassian tools, and then gives us a place to track performance of business services and trends. I mean, that's something, Tracy mentioned. I mean, the whole point around analytics in general is to make better decisions about anything, incidents, changes, anything regarding your business. And, if you can answer questions like, are your customers satisfied, or have they been getting help in a timely fashion? How often are changes failing, and what types of changes are being made? What's the volume of incidents, and are we seeing any trends? Like, if we're able to answer those questions, even within our organization, I think it drastically improves our decision-making in regards to how we practice ITSM. So I really like the trend that I'm seeing when it comes to analytics for Atlassian. I will say that I have played around with these charts a little bit, or these templates. They're going to need a little love, a little customization. Everyone does reporting a little differently, but I like the starting point that they're at now. So I'm really excited about that. Also, when it comes to analytics, one of the things that they brought up too that I appreciate is that you can comment directly on charts and react to the data that you're seeing. So you can do that right inside the tool. That is nice to me. I mean, there's a lot of times when I'm looking at a report, I have to go off into Slack or off in the team or somewhere else and say, hey, can we tweak this? Or why are we seeing this? I love that we can make those reactions right there in the tool on the report. And then the last thing that I really appreciated is the ability to embed these charts and dashboards, not only into Confluence, but they're also being able to embed those in Atlas and even Trello. So it's like real-time data right there in front of your stakeholders, wherever your stakeholders exist. So really excited about that.
No, that's great.
So,
I know you have a poll coming up. I wanted to touch back on the AI just for a smidge, because I did see some cool things from app vendors too. Like, there is the whole AI engine that Atlassian has and is building into the product to solve those problems. And then I saw demos from app vendors that were using OpenAI interfaces to serve up data. So one of the cool ones I saw was the Draw.io folks. And I got a demo and he's like, I haven't tried this before, but let's try it. And he went into a blank diagram and he said, draw me a sequence diagram of a sales process of selling Atlassian and Jira into the enterprise. And it came back with a Draw.io document of a sales process. And he said, okay, let's put that in a sequence diagram, moved it to a sequence diagram. Now, it got you like 90% of the way there. Obviously, you'd want to tweak it, make your own, but like just seeing how that's making an impact inside the tools, not just what Atlassian is providing, but what app vendors is providing. Is cool.
So I was going to save this to the end, but it's just too appropriate to share now. There's a talk that is available to watch that was pretty incredible. I won't give it all away, but towards the end, what it was Dish Network, what they're doing is pulling the data out of Jira, running it through their own AI to learn who best to assign work to.
Wow.
Under these conditions, from these vendors, from a whole bunch of complexity. And we want to understand how to resolve this as quickly as possible. Well, with these conditions in place, let's assign it to this person, because you know what, he just closed 5 things that were kind of similar within the last month. So like time savings and efficiency is pretty incredible. And I think that kind of AI is really, we're only limited by our imagination. And
love that.
That's good. Okay. Yeah, we have
yeah, go for it, Ian. Sorry.
All right. Awesome. On that note, again, I think for us internally and also for our clients, like we should definitely be taking advantage of what we have here, assist, intelligence, analytics. And so we want to learn more from you all in the audience. We do have a poll here. The poll is, what feature product are you most looking forward to incorporating into your ITSM practice? And this poll is really centered around this mindset of, hey, there's a lot of other, there's templates inside of Jira Service Management that we could take advantage of. There's asset management, which we didn't even talk about here. But really the new features that are coming up, like Assist, Atlassian Assist, intelligence, analytics. I'd like to learn more from you all, the audience. We have the poll up? I don't see it. Oh, yeah. There it is. Yeah, would like to learn more from you all on what you're interested in and looking into for your organization. So we'll give you a few seconds here to answer those. Oh, it's kind of like split, almost like down the middle for these. Analytics, intelligence kind of creeps up. So still same kind of concept, Thad, to your poll, trying to really focus in on Atlassian intelligence, that AI component. So makes a lot of sense. This is something that we're going to be looking into for sure as well with our own practice.
Awesome. Thank you, Ian. I'd like to shift the conversation a little bit. I mean, you touched on ESM, which kind of lends itself into our next topic, ESM, Enterprise Service Management. How do you bring service management across all teams? It's a component of work management for all. And Megan, like, I know this has been a passion of yours. What did you see from the conference, and what are you excited about?
Yeah, thanks, Thad. So on the work management front, there are 2 big themes that I wanted to talk about today. First, Confluence is the flagship in the work management suite of products. I know that could be a surprise to some people. Some people think it's Jira Work Management, but actually it's Confluence that they're really putting as the center here. And at Teams, Atlassian announced major investments in it. And these are not small changes. They went as far as to say, we are reinventing the product in the way teams leverage it to get work done. Now, most of these features are still things you have to join the wait list to actually play around with. So is a little bit to be seen, just how much of a reinvention this is, but I'm really excited about the things that they said are coming. And, for me, I kept thinking when I went to Teams, I was really hoping to see this because the timing couldn't be better. Some of the other competitor products, like particularly Notion, has really been outpacing Confluence in terms of the feature sets. And now that they've announced everything that's coming, it's really only Notion's ability to play embedded videos natively that Atlassian still hasn't solved for. But otherwise, I feel like they've really jumped and made this a compelling competitor to Notion. So what did they add? Let's talk about some of those features. One of the ones I think people are going to be really excited about is Confluence whiteboards. Now, from what we've seen, this is going to be really similar to if you've ever used the Miro add-on, the Marketplace add-on. It's going to allow you to basically have sticky notes. You can drag and drop, write on pens with stickers. And then I think what people will be most excited about is once you've, as a group, decided which sticky note you like, you can convert those sticky notes into Jira issues and Confluence pages right from there.
I have to just interrupt and express my delight with this because there are so many Agile teams that we work with that are already using a tool like Miro because Confluence doesn't offer anything like that. And so the prospect of being able to live and breathe inside of the tool set where our teams are actually executing on their work is a dream. So I'm thrilled that they've announced it because I think if they didn't do it now, they would just be too far surpassed. And I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Can I add to that from a user perspective? The community is excited. From a Jira admin perspective, they are so excited because I had a conversation with somebody. They've got 30,000 users, and he's so Miro is a great tool. I don't want to slander that tool. I love we use it internally. It's a great tool, but he is so frustrated because he's like, hey, I have to license the whole organization because they use it once a quarter. Right. And so they have these when they all get into their strategy and planning sessions, everybody needs access, and then everybody kind of zooms out of it and doesn't need access. He's like, I am so excited for whiteboards because it's already built into the tool that I'm using. And Miro's been around a while. Feature set's probably up here, but Atlassian's going to catch up. And for those use cases that we're talking about, I think it's a great solution. So from an admin perspective, I think there's a lot of excitement around that too. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing it in action. Then the next one I want to talk about is databases. So this is actually an acquisition by Atlassian, and the product, if you used it in the marketplace, was Orderly Databases by K15T. And so they acquired that and are going to make it natively available in Confluence. And essentially what it is it allows for the creation of dynamic tables. So real-time syncing allows you to update data in one place and have it automatically refresh everywhere. I think that that's going to help people a lot. And you also can join the waitlist for that. But I'm really excited for them to roll that out. And then I talked previously when Ian was talking about automation for Confluence. I think this is going to be a game changer. Being able to automate these things that you do every week. For me, I know that I have some standing meetings where ahead of every meeting, I'm supposed to add agenda items. And I'm really looking forward to setting up an automated reminder the day before the meeting to just do this because I'm always doing it 5 minutes before the meeting. And I think this is going to help a lot with just productivity, freeing up time, sending out those task reminders. And there's just a lot here. And then lastly, this is the feature that I'm personally the most excited about is Confluence Guests. And it's not coming till Q3, but it is coming to all versions of the product. So standard, premium, and enterprise. And it's going to allow an admin to add up to 5 external guests per each paid user. So there are some limitations. Guests are only going to be able to see one space at a time. The permissions are project-based. Eventually, they're going to roll out public links as well, probably also in Q3. But I think this is really a game changer because it finally allows you to compete with Google Docs, which, for the companies, for the customers I talk to where they're not forced into the Microsoft suite of products, where it's it's SharePoint or nothing. For those other customers, it's often a question should we be doing this in Confluence or should we be doing this in Google Docs? And where I see Confluence lose a lot is oh, well, we need to just be able to have, share this outside the company. And so that permissioning ease I think is going to eliminate that objection to being able to use Confluence as a source of truth. So for me, like that was the one where I was like, oh, thank goodness. This is going to make it a lot easier for teams to have global adoption of Confluence, I think.
Well, Megan,
I want to go ahead.
I went first. I want to build on it. Like, I mean, the dirty little secret is we all have Google Docs on the side. Like Megan, as we were coming together as two organizations, we're collaborating on we're collaborating on Confluence docs because of the guest access thing. Like adding permissions to people outside the organization, even for partners, is laborious and costly. So like I couldn't be more excited about this feature because I like the only reason that I do want to go into Google Docs is for spreadsheets, right? And so that's about it. But so
yeah, no, I really think this is a big deal. So the second thing I wanted to mention is how Atlassian is continuing to really lean into this ways of working idea. They have an internal team called the Dr. Wow team, which stands for Ways of Working, that has been producing a lot of amazing content to help them build out their work management practice. So we've seen Atlassian really make this progression from products, we're a products company, to talking about culture and teams, to now really leaning into ways of working with playbooks and templates. And they really just carried this messaging out throughout the week, repeatedly making that point. We believe how you work is just as important as the work you're doing. And so along those lines, I wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of how they've been building their recommendations for how you should work into the Confluence product. And if you're using Confluence in the cloud, it's already available to you for free. The reason I bring this up is because they've been doing it a bit on the slide. And even I hadn't noticed. So there's now over 140 templates in Confluence. That's a lot. There's a lot of things in there that you would expect, like, meeting notes, product requirements, templates, product roadmaps, incident postmortems. No one's going to be shocked by any of that stuff. But where you'll start to find the ways of working stuff, if you click on the filter for teamwork, they have 45 teamwork templates. And that's where you really see them putting their flavor of how they think we should be working. So some of my favorite teamwork templates are the ritual reset, which allows you to audit like how many meetings you're having as a company and as a team, figure out which ones are providing values and which rituals you want to let go of. We ran that with one of my PM teams and it was really valuable. There's a template about how to run a remote team meeting, virtual team lunch. And one of my favorite other templates is the work-life impact. And that allows you as a team to identify things that needs to change to better support the work-life balance of your team. I think that's really important. I did want to just mention that ISOS also contributed a template that was up on that slide there. So shout out to you guys for getting that in there. Now us, the royal us. So yeah, there's really great stuff in there. Definitely dive in and check it out. And then the very last thing that I wanted to leave people with is this URL. It's this URL is not new, but they've added some new sections to it. It's Atlassian.com/practices. And this is where you can see the playbooks, which they've always had, but there's now over 50 plays that you can run for, and you can sort them by team, like for your HR team or your IT team. I think that's really cool. But they now have these two newish sections, one about remote work, where they're putting all their recommendations for how to keep the cohesiveness and the culture of the team really healthy in this largely new-ish remote work environment. And then this other section around open work, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later when we get to the next section. But there's just a lot of good stuff in there. So really dive in, check it out if you haven't seen it.
Cool. Megan, did you have a poll for us?
Oh, I do. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. So yeah, I think this was just, we wanted to get a sense of where Confluence is being used right now in your organization. Whether that's company-wide or if it's still just really living with the IT DevOps. I know Atlassian is really trying to bring Confluence out to what they call all the knowledge workers, the teams, like HR, legal, and marketing. And so I'm just curious about how much you're seeing that in your companies.
Cool. We'll give it another maybe 5-10 seconds as people are filling it out, and it's multi-select, so it could be all of those things. Company-wide.
Yeah, company-wide 55% IT DevOps. Yeah, pretty close there. So yeah, you can see that this HR and legal and marketing, which is the markets that they're really trying to push into with this work management space, still have a lot of room to grow. I think they're very aware of that. And especially with the work management product, I often hear when I talk to Atlassians, like, make sure you show work management to HR and legal, because we really thought of them when creating that product. So yeah, this is what I would expect. And thanks for sharing, everybody.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you, Megan. Just keep the questions coming. We see them coming in, Megan. I think there's a few in there on licensing. I think there seems to be a general theme on we love what we're seeing. How do I get it is kind of what I'm reading into licensing. Maybe you already have access to it, maybe you don't. But there's a couple questions. So keep those coming in, and we'll answer those on the fly or answer them on the end, or we might say, hey, we're actually not sure. We didn't have clarity on who gets it, and we can follow up on that as a takeaway too. Okay, so we're gonna move into Tracy's gonna look at it from an Agile DevOps perspective, and I wanted to cue it up with my first question is, Atlassian keeps saying Agile DevOps. I think they're trying to will this concept into existence. Like, could you just maybe give us like Agile DevOps? What are we talking about?
You mean, why is it not Agile, DevOps or Agile and DevOps? I don't want to stick my toe in that religious war if I have to, but my perspective is that Agile has a built-in assumption that the teams who are, working away are also closely connected with product and business. And I think from the DevOps point of view, you bring in the assumption that the teams are working away, and then they're tightly connected with those who are ensuring that what they work on can get out the door and can also support the ops teams that are then supporting end customer requests. So I think they certainly have a home together. But I'm going to not comment on the and versus comma versus nothing at all.
Fair enough. Thank you for
yes,
delicately walking that tightrope.
Yeah, there you go. So what I want to share about this is that they have continued to sing from the rooftops that if you're going with a vendor who claims to do it all for you and you don't need to go to anybody else, that they are sadly mistaken. And so Atlassian is taking the point of view that we are open, use the tools you would like to use, which I love. And then sometimes wonder, are you saying that because you just can't catch up to everybody else? Because all the other products that you're putting out sure makes it look like, you're turning into a one-stop shop. But nonetheless, especially from a DevOps perspective, they have, for years been saying, we are open DevOps, use the tools that your teams want to use, and we will make it easier for you to connect it. So that is a continued theme. I want to talk a little bit about Compass. That was also, I think, announced as beta last year, but it is here, and they are, there was a couple of really good talks about it, especially if you're an organization with an architecture that is supporting microservices. You can think of Compass as a purpose built for microservices, like an asset management almost of microservices. So what microservices do we have? What do they do? Who owns them? When were they last updated? Who do I go to if I have a problem? All of that connected in a nice, perfect place called Compass. So they continue to pour an investment in Compass for those organizations with microservices. The other thing I want to talk about from a DevOps perspective is the releases tab. So I like to joke with Atlassian that the fixed version has three names. It's fixed version, it's releases version. But if you can imagine a Jira software project, there's a little ship on the left-hand side for the releases. And I don't think very many people ever really used it. Maybe if you wanted to write some release notes, but it didn't get any love for quite a long time. And they have called out like, hey, we understand now that just because an Agile team or your teams who are, working away, they reach their definition of done, doesn't mean it's in the hands of your customers just yet. And so there might be some more work to do. Wouldn't it be great if we could extend this releases section to account for all that work that needs to happen once our teams have completed, hit their definition of done. So the releases hub has got some updates that allow for more conversation about go, no go decisions, what other tasks are we going to do and how are we doing on that. Okay, so that was kind of the DevOps-ish area. The other thing I want to talk about is, of course, Jira Align, because that's what I do. Jira Align is, for those of you who don't have Jira Align or are not familiar, it is an enterprise agile management tool that sits on top of Jira and allows for you to kind of roll up all of your data, give your portfolio managers, your program managers, RTs, for those organizations that are practicing scaled agile methodology. It is the purpose-built tool for connecting strategy and execution. So the great news about Jira Align is that they have a product called Enterprise Insights, which is kind of from a Jira Align perspective. And it now can pull all that data from Jira Align to Enterprise Insights and into the analytics. So
Nice.
that's a huge deal for two reasons. One, analytics, flow metrics is such a hot topic. It's like the oldest new hot topic, but flow metrics are available and visible. And once you have all that data inside of Jira Align, wouldn't you want to do all those great things we already talked about earlier when we have visualizations of our data? So that was a big announcement there. And then from Jira Software, everybody, like, Jira Software has been around for so long. Like, what else are they going to do to it, that we haven't talked about? So I just wanted to call out a little feature that they're happy to announce about dark theme for Jira Software. So if you want to go dark in your interface, you can now do. Okay, so those are all kind of quick updates from a feature and product perspective. The thing I want to talk about is general sentiment. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I made it a point to ask people, hey, what stood out to you? What's new for you? What would you call out of everything that you've learned so far at Team? And there was a lot of feedback around, hey, I just didn't know that Atlassian had so many products. I didn't know there was so much that they offered. And so what my team here at ISOS, we've put together this visual and we have showed it to a few folks and they really like it. So I thought, why not share it on this webinar and let everybody else kind of get a sense of, hey, there is a lot out there from Atlassian today, and where does it fit? And what do I have? What am I missing out on? Like, this visual starts to kind of churn up those questions. So I just wanted to show it and pause here for a minute and hear from my panelists any thoughts that they have in talking to folks at the conference or when we've presented this slide to others as well.
For me, I think the biggest revelation is, and probably the poorest named product on here, is Jira Product Discovery, because it really doesn't tell you what it does, and it confuses itself. And then when people learn what Jira Product Discovery is, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to have this. And our response generally is, you probably already do have it, you're just not using it. So that's kind of one of the hidden gems in there. I think there's so many hidden gems in here. But yeah, I'd love to hear what other people have to say too.
Yeah, I mean, with Jira Product Discovery, like early on too with it, it didn't have a super easy way to integrate it with the rest of Jira. And I think because of the Atlassian's, the feedback that Atlassian got while it was in beta, now like on the delivery tab inside of Jira Product Discovery, you now can link to your epics and all down to your stories. You can see all that hierarchy there. So I think that was a really cool thing that I saw with Jira Product Discovery recently. But I would say in general, in terms of all of this, I think it just, just harken back to what Tracy said. I think when we talk to people on the streets, or we talk to our clients about like, well, what do you have? And how are they all connected? We get this big like question mark. Like, we're not really sure exactly where everything fits and what's all, but this is your basically, we're still trying to figure out like what this is actually called. Is it a feedback loop? Is it continuous improvement loop? It's a mapping of all of your tools as it sits on these components of how you work and how you organize work. But I think that this really does paint the picture. I think we're visualizing what Atlassian was trying to do with all of the acquisitions and the building of some of this technology. And so we've kind of placed these on here thinking that this is probably the vision that they had, but we've been able to take this and actually apply it in like assessments that we do with our clients to say, hey, like, here's where you're at and here's where you want to be. And these are the places that we can kind of plug that technology in. So I think this has been really helpful for our clients, and hopefully helpful for all you folks in the audience.
The last thing I want to say, and it's not really called out on this slide, but the last thing I want to say, because I'm guessing it might be in the back of the mind of some folks, is that there is some contradiction of products, especially when we talk about Jira Align. So Jira Align has an ideation portal. How is that different than Jira Product Discovery? Or we have Enterprise Insights with Jira Align, but then we have Data Lake as well with Jira Software. And then we have goals that you can track inside of Atlas that, I'm sorry, they're OKRs. They're calling OKRs now, not just goals. And then there's also OKRs inside of Jira Align. So there's a little bit of overlap in some of those. And the kind of blanket statement is Jira Align is meant for scale and, real large, but then also there's announcements that, now they can have 20,000 agents in a Jira Service Management Cloud. So I'm still kind of on the fence waiting to see how Atlassian will address that, contradiction. So I just want to call that out, that if you were thinking the same thing, you're not the only one. And wait, no, last thing, Megan's going to put out a poll, and I just have to say, everybody, the poll was optional. We put this together. I was like, hey, if you want to do a poll, you could do a poll.
Hey, don't mess with the results here. We want to hear.
Yeah, don't like the people know. We want to take it to the people and hear what.
Take it to the people. All right, that's my spiel.
Yeah,
but Tracy, I agree with you too. I do think it almost feels like sometimes Atlassian's kind of throwing something out. You see this with a lot of SaaS tools, but they're kind of throwing something out and seeing if it sticks. And if it does, okay, Atlas is sticking. Okay, let's build on top of it. Oh, it's not sticking. Let's kind of transition to another tool or another product. But I tend to agree with you that sometimes it's hard to see what's up or down. She wants to be agile.
I love my Agile community. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it.
There you go. Love it. Thank you, Tracy. That was fantastic. I want to just kind of, we're going to hit teams and culture, but I want to make sure we have enough time for questions. So I think we'll just kind of go through this quickly so that we
can do a lightning round, like the lightning round.
Yeah. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time here. What you see as our sub bullet, more teams, less culture. Like when the ISOS and Hypervelocity team walked away, we're like, hey, the messaging that we've typically heard from Atlassian at Team or Summit, if you're old, was all about culture. Our culture is great. Here's our values. Here's how culture wins. Culture, culture, culture. We didn't hear that. So what we heard was more of the operationalization, my goodness, of culture. And it came into playbooks. It came into like the practices hub that Megan referenced. It came into like, it's great, but how do you actually do this at scale? And I think that's kind of their theme on how they're talking about teams and culture. And I think it's a reflective of the maturity of them as an organization, and how they're seeing like, oh my gosh, we've grown so much. How do we have this great culture? How do we scale it? And how do we keep it going? And that's what they're sharing with everybody. And I think it's an evolution of that message. Real quick, or just go around the horn. Is there anything else, Tracy, that you want to add in?
Yeah, I think we touched, like hybrid work is here to stay. We'll be partially in person, we'll be partially, virtual, and that's not going anywhere.
And that's reflective of the event. When you look at the attendance, 25% was in person, 75% consumed digitally. So absolutely. Megan, quick thoughts on teams.
Yeah, just open work. They talked a lot about open teams, which they define as teams that understand one another, make information accessible, and seek ideas and feedback. And they have a lot of great plays around that. So just check it out. I know we're short on time, but that's all I'll say.
Cool. Ian, take us home.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the pendulum swing from culture to like, this is how you do this type of work. So I think, yeah, we like the pendulum swing. It makes sense to be over here, but not everyone works the same. And so I think that's a challenge that Atlassian is going to have to kind of overcome with their tooling going forward.
Great. Cool. All right. With that, we're going to enter into our lightning. That could have been argued as our first lightning round. So we'll go with our second lightning round. And this is just real quick answer. What new feature, product concept did you see that excited you the most? We've talked about a ton of stuff here. What's your number one? Ian, lead us off.
I've already said it, analytics. We see a lot of organizations guessing how to improve their ITSM practice. It's no longer a guessing game with analytics.
Love it. Tracy, what you got?
AI all day, every day. It's a hot topic, and it's going to change a lot about how we work, and I'm very excited about it.
Dig it. Megan.
Yeah, Confluence guess. Making it easier to get people outside your company into the page.
Love it. And mine was, mine's kind of a cheat because I list a bunch of stuff, but it's basically, I love all the love that Confluence got. Confluence is my first love, and seeing that it's continuing to be feature rich and it gets the attention it needs is fantastic. So whiteboards, guest access, Confluence databases, automation for Confluence, analytics, all the things, all the love. So thank you, Atlassian, for that. Third, final round question. And again, for the folks on the call, we will share out slides that will have links to all of this. It is, what is the must-watch session to go and replay? So if you had to say, hey, here's one or two sessions I want the audience here to watch, what is it? And for me, I'll kick us off. And this is kind of my cheat every year. It's the Impossible Alone. It's the keynote with the co-founders, Mike and Scott, and with Anu, the president. What I love, it's 51 minutes. What I love about their presentation, one, it's always great to hear from their vision and the direction, but they also can't help themselves, and they preview everything that's in the conference. So it is the cliff notes of the conference. So like you catch little snippets and you hear it in their voice and what they're excited about. And so for me, it's always kind of the cheat to what are the highlights of the conference. Tracy, what'd you see?
Yep, I got two. One is my own talk, because I go watch it. It's great, actually. Especially if you're curious about the difference between Jira Line and advanced roadmaps, especially if you're from a large organization, because it does lean towards Jira Line. And then the other one that I really enjoyed was Dish Network's journey to driving quality with analytics and Atlassian tools. They tell a great story about, how they're pivoting, what their purpose is. They talk about the large amount of people that they need to coordinate, how they use Jira Service Management, Jira software together, and then the analytics piece of it as well. And then on top of that, the Atlassian intelligence. So it was just a perfect summary of all the things. I highly, highly recommend it. And then on top of it, he's Adam Nichols was an Agile coach, and he talks about, none of this is possible without people. So start with people, build them a process that makes the job easy to complete, and then give them the tools. So it's great.
I love it. Tracy, I'd give a second for your talk as well. Like, it was overflow capacity. So in person, it was actually like people were lining up around the edges to try and catch what you're saying. So it's a great talk. Ian, what do you got?
I loved how Atlassian uses Jira Service Management for better HR solutions. It was a practical, like real life example of using the Atlassian tools to solve business challenges. And I love the fact that it's really centered around how we can use these tools, not just for IT service management, but enterprise service management, allowing business teams to use an end-to-end process inside these tools. So I really enjoyed that one. Go see it. Awesome.
Megan, take us home.
Yeah, I picked Let's Get Shit Done with OKRs. And I liked this one. If you already really understand what OKRs are, you should skip the first 22 minutes of this talk. But the last half of the talk really focuses on Atlas. And it's one of the rare opportunities to see a really good demo of how Atlas can help you track your OKRs, how it works at the team, division, company-wide level. So yeah, I definitely recommend this talk for anyone who's just curious about Atlas.
Awesome, thank you. Just a couple of notes. We've got about 4 minutes left. We can answer a couple of questions. Feel free to put them in there if you'd like. And then just real fast, a couple of links to share with you. Enterprise service management. So you heard us talk about work management for all. You heard us talk about ITSM. We have if you're interested in how do you bring service management across your organization, we have a great white paper on that, isostech.com/ESM-white paper. And then, we're available to talk. So it doesn't have to be a sales conversation. Like, call us up. You got questions. We'll make time and we'll try to help out the best we can. We're here to help and help everybody be successful on the tools. And we are excited to do that. So with that, we do have some Q&A. Ed, we see your question out there. Why not call it continuous delivery, which can cover both aspects of Agile and DevOps? And that feels like a trap.
Let's call it DevSecOps. It's like the number. If I say a lot of times, if I just didn't have to name things, my job would be so much easier. So I'm one day we might take this on as its own webinar.
Yes. Yeah. But Tracy already said it's a holy war, and you're trying to bait us into it. So we're gonna stay neutral in that discussion.
Nice try.
Yeah, nice try. Oh, thank you, Amy. Maybe we can get that link.
Look at that, Amy. Thank you.
Can we get that into the main chat? So Atlassian has put out their stake in this conversation on Agile DevOps. And so, Amy, thank you so much for that link. Let's definitely put it in the chat so everybody can see it. Well, why don't I just do it? I have the power to cut and paste.
You have the power.
I can do it. I can't get it to everybody.
You don't have power.
I don't have power. That's probably best. So if somebody
Probably best, yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Megan, Susie, much appreciated. So click that link, save it. We have 2 minutes left. I don't want to waste anybody's time, but if there's any kind of closing thoughts from the team here, let's do it. Amy, you're just full of
should have her on next time.
I know. Amy, come join us next time. Amy is HALP is end of life June 2024. So that makes sense to what Ian was talking about. The original question was, how does HALP work with their chat? What is their what is it called? I get confused on their
Atlassian Assist. I know, because there's so many A's, right?
Yeah, Atlassian Assist.
And Amy might be able to confirm that for us too. Is it going to stick with Atlassian Assist or do something else? Or, but I assume it's built on top of HALP. It's built on a JSM chat. Please no.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So a lot of fun stuff coming out there. But again, thank you everybody for spending the morning with us. We'll take up some notes. We will get our slides out there with actually some commentary from what you heard today, a bunch of links. You'll get the recording. But thank you for spending time with us, and we look forward to talking to everybody soon.